The morning sun cast long shadows across the military training facility as soldiers assembled for what they believed would be routine marksmanship evaluation. Among them stood Sarah Mitchell, a 24-year-old corporal whose quiet demeanor often made her blend into the background. She had joined the Army 3 years ago, seeking purpose after losing her father in a construction accident. Her small hometown had offered little beyond factory work, and the military promised adventure, education, and a chance to serve something greater than herself. Sarah had always been different from other girls her age. While her friends spent weekends at parties, she preferred hunting trips with her grandfather in the dense forests of Montana. Those early morning expeditions taught her patience, precision, and respect for firearms. Her grandfather, a Korean War veteran, had noticed her natural ability with rifles and nurtured it carefully. He taught her to read wind patterns, calculate distances without equipment, and most importantly, to remain perfectly still for hours at a time. The training facility buzzed with nervous energy as soldiers checked their standard-issue M4 carbines. Sarah moved through her equipment inspection methodically, her calloused hands betraying years of outdoor work and military training. She had earned respect among her peers for her reliability and quiet competence, though few knew the extent of her marksmanship abilities. Her drill sergeants had noted her exceptional scores during basic training, but in the grand scheme of military operations, individual excellence often went unnoticed unless circumstances demanded it. Colonel James Harrison supervised the day's activities, his weathered face showing decades of military service. He had seen countless soldiers come through training programs, and while he appreciated dedication, he had learned not to expect miracles. The morning's exercise involved standard qualifying shoots at distances ranging from 100 to 500 meters. It was designed to ensure basic competency rather than identify exceptional talent. Most soldiers would pass adequately, a few might struggle, and occasionally someone would surprise everyone with unexpected skill. As soldiers took their positions on the firing line, Sarah noticed something unusual about the setup. Beyond the standard targets, additional equipment had been positioned at extreme distances. Rangefinders, wind measurement devices, and targets placed at what appeared to be 800 meters or more dotted the landscape. She wondered if this was preparation for advanced sniper training or perhaps a demonstration for visiting officials. The presence of extra spotting scopes suggested something beyond routine qualification was planned. The first phase proceeded, normally with soldiers engaging targets at prescribed distances. Sarah's shots grouped tightly in the center rings, drawing approving nods from range supervisors. Her breathing remained controlled, her trigger pulls smooth and consistent. Years of hunting had taught her that rushing led to missed opportunities, and military training had reinforced the importance of measured, deliberate action. She completed the standard course with perfect scores, but noticed several officers watching her performance with increased attention. During the break between firing phases, Sarah overheard conversations about a special assessment being conducted. Apparently, a visiting general was evaluating the unit's capabilities, and exceptional performers would be invited to attempt more challenging shots. The thought excited and intimidated her simultaneously. She had always known she possessed above-average marksmanship skills. But military standards were different from hunting. The pressure of formal evaluation, combined with the presence of high-ranking officials, created an environment where even skilled shooters could falter. As the second phase began, Sarah found herself selected along with 5 other soldiers to attempt long-range engagements. The targets had been moved to distances exceeding anything she had attempted in military training, though her grandfather had occasionally challenged her with similar shots during hunting expeditions. The familiar weight of a rifle in her hands provided comfort, and she began her mental preparation routine. She studied the wind flags, noted the temperature and humidity, and calculated the necessary adjustments for bullet drop over extreme distances. The other selected soldiers took their turns, achieving varying degrees of success. Some missed entirely, while others managed to strike the outer rings of the distant targets. Sarah watched carefully, learning from each attempt and refining her mental calculations. When her turn arrived, she settled into her shooting position with practiced ease. The rifle felt like an extension of her body, and the world around her faded to nothing but the target, the crosshairs, and her controlled breathing. She had no idea that her performance in the next few moments would change everything. The Barrett M82 rifle rested heavily against Sarah's shoulder as she adjusted her position behind the weapon. The .50 caliber sniper rifle was a significant departure from the standard weapons she typically used, its weight and power representing the pinnacle of long-range precision shooting. General Robert Hayes had personally selected this weapon for the demonstration, curious to see how the promising young soldier would handle such sophisticated equipment. The rifle's reputation preceded it, capable of engaging targets at distances exceeding a mile in the right hands. Sarah's heart rate remained steady as she familiarized herself with the Barrett's controls and optics. The scope's magnification revealed details of the target that seemed impossibly distant to the naked eye. She could see the concentric circles clearly, though wind conditions at that range would affect bullet trajectory significantly. Her grandfather's lessons echoed in her mind: patience, observation, and respect for the weapon's capabilities. She spent several minutes studying the environment, noting how grass moved at various distances and watching dust patterns that revealed wind direction and intensity. The target had been positioned at 200 meters, a distance that challenged even experienced snipers. General Hayes watched through his binoculars, curious but not expecting exceptional results. He had seen many confident soldiers humbled by long-range shooting, where factors like barrel harmonics, ammunition consistency, and environmental conditions could turn skilled marksmen into frustrated failures. The Barrett required not just accuracy but understanding of ballistics, wind compensation, and the patience to wait for ideal shooting conditions. Colonel Harrison provided range commands while Sarah made final adjustments to the scope's elevation and windage settings. Her calculations were based on observed conditions, estimated air density, and the specific ammunition being used. She had learned to trust her instincts, developed through countless hours of practice, while also applying mathematical precision to the shooting problem. The combination of intuitive understanding and technical knowledge separated competent shooters from truly exceptional ones. As Sarah settled into her final shooting position, something remarkable happened. The constant chatter of range observers fell silent, and even the general lowered his binoculars to focus entirely on her preparation. Her movements were deliberate and confident, suggesting experience far beyond her rank and official training records. She cycled the Barrett's bolt action, chambering around, and engaged the safety until ready to fire. Her breathing slowed to a controlled pattern that would minimize movement during the critical moment of trigger engagement. The first shot erupted with tremendous sound and muzzle flash, the Barrett's recoil transferring energy through Sarah's entire body. Through the scope, spotters confirmed impact near the target's center, an impressive result that drew surprised murmurs from observers. However, Sarah wasn't satisfied with near center. She made minute adjustments to her scope, factoring in the observed bullet impact and slight changes in wind conditions. Her grandfather had taught her that the first shot provided data, the second shot demonstrated mastery. General Hayes found himself leaning forward, his casual interest replaced by genuine fascination. In 30 years of military service, he had encountered perhaps a dozen soldiers with natural shooting ability that transcended training and experience. Sarah's approach to the Barrett suggested an intuitive understanding of precision shooting that couldn't be taught in standard military programs. Her second shot preparation took longer, as she waited for optimal wind conditions and verified her scope adjustments multiple times. The second shot's impact created a moment of stunned silence on the range. The bullet had struck the target's center ring with precision that bordered on perfection at that extreme distance. Range personnel confirmed the impact location through spotting scopes, and excited chatter erupted among observers. Sarah remained focused on the rifle, already preparing for a potential third shot. But General Hayes raised his hand to halt further shooting. He wanted to examine the target personally before proceeding. As vehicles raced downrange to inspect and photograph the target, Sarah carefully secured the Barrett and stepped back from the firing line. She maintained professional composure despite the obvious excitement her performance had generated. Years of hunting had taught her that celebrating before confirming results was premature, and military discipline reinforced the importance of maintaining focus until officially dismissed. The general approached her position, his expression unreadable but his interest clearly heightened. The radio crackled with confirmation from the target area. Both shots had struck within the center, scoring ring with the second shot placed within inches of perfect center. At 1,200 meters, such accuracy represented exceptional skill even among dedicated snipers. General Hayes studied Sarah with new appreciation, recognizing that he had witnessed something extraordinary. Her modest demeanor and unpretentious attitude made the demonstration even more impressive, suggesting natural ability rather than practiced showmanship that sometimes accompanied military demonstrations. General Hayes walked deliberately toward Sarah, the Barrett rifle still warm from firing. The range had fallen unusually quiet, with dozens of soldiers and officers processing what they had just witnessed. The general's aide hurried to keep pace, carrying a folder containing Sarah's military records that suddenly seemed inadequate to explain her extraordinary performance. Her personnel file showed solid but unremarkable ratings, standard training completions, and no indication of the exceptional marksmanship abilities she had just demonstrated. Sarah maintained proper military bearing as the general approached. Though internally she wondered if she had somehow violated protocol, her grandfather had always emphasized that exceptional performance should be displayed with humility, and she hoped her shooting hadn't been perceived as showing off. She had simply applied everything she had learned, treating the challenge as seriously as any hunting situation where precision meant the difference between success and failure. The Barrett had felt familiar despite its size and power, responding to her control like an extension of her training and experience. The general stopped directly in front of Sarah, studying her face intently. He had commanded troops in combat zones across 3 different continents and had developed an ability to read people quickly. Sarah's expression showed focus and alertness without arrogance or excitement. Her hands remained steady, and her posture suggested someone comfortable with weapons and pressure situations. These observations aligned with the shooting performance he had just witnessed, but raised questions about how such talent had remained unnoticed in her unit. Colonel Harrison joined the conversation, bringing additional details about Sarah's service record. She had completed basic training in the top 10% of her class, qualified expert on standard weapon systems, and received consistently positive performance evaluations. However, nothing in her official record indicated the exceptional long-range shooting capability she had just displayed. Her squad leaders described her as reliable and competent, but hadn't identified any extraordinary abilities that would warrant special attention or advanced training opportunities. General Hayes asked Sarah about her background with firearms, speaking in conversational tones that put her at ease. She explained her upbringing in Montana, the hunting expeditions with her grandfather, and her lifelong familiarity with rifles. As she spoke, the general began understanding how natural ability, combined with practical experience and proper guidance, had created skills that formal military training programs rarely developed. Her grandfather's influence had provided foundation that military service had refined and disciplined. The conversation revealed interesting details about Sarah's approach to marksmanship. She described reading environmental conditions instinctively, having learned to judge wind and distance through years of practical application. Her grandfather had emphasized understanding ballistics and bullet behavior, rather than relying solely on equipment and charts. This combination of theoretical knowledge and practical experience explained her ability to adapt quickly to the Barrett's characteristics and achieve precision that impressed even experienced range personnel. As they talked, General Hayes made mental notes about Sarah's potential applications within military operations. Exceptional snipers were rare and valuable assets, particularly in an era where precision engagement could prevent collateral damage and achieve objectives that conventional forces couldn't accomplish. Sarah's demonstrated abilities, combined with her existing military training and security clearance, positioned her for specialized roles that could significantly impact mission success in various scenarios. The general decided to extend the evaluation, curious about Sarah's performance under different conditions and with various weapon systems. He instructed range personnel to prepare additional challenges, including moving targets, elevated shooting positions, and different rifles. Sarah's first demonstration had established her basic competency, but comprehensive assessment required testing adaptability, consistency, and performance under stress. Military snipers faced constantly changing conditions that demanded flexibility alongside precision. While preparations continued, General Hayes reviewed intelligence reports about ongoing operations that required exceptional marksmanship support. Several missions had been delayed or modified due to lack of available sniper assets, and Sarah's abilities could potentially address critical capability gaps. However, transitioning from demonstrated range performance to operational readiness required extensive additional training, psychological evaluation, and security screening processes that could take months to complete. Sarah waited patiently as range personnel configured new challenges, unaware that her performance had already initiated discussions about dramatically changing her military career path. She focused on staying mentally prepared for whatever came next, treating each shot as equally important regardless of who was watching. Her grandfather's teachings about consistency and mental discipline served her well in this high-pressure environment, where exceptional performance could lead to opportunities she had never imagined possible. The extended evaluation continued through the afternoon, as Sarah demonstrated her abilities with multiple weapon systems and increasingly challenging scenarios. Each test revealed new aspects of her exceptional marksmanship skills, from rapid target engagement to precision shots from unconventional positions. General Hayes observed every detail, taking notes and asking specific questions about her thought processes and decision-making approaches. Sarah's consistency across different challenges reinforced his growing conviction that she possessed rare natural talent, enhanced by proper training foundations. Range personnel had created a complex course requiring shots from standing, prone, and elevated positions at varying distances. Sarah approached each challenge methodically, taking time to assess conditions and select appropriate techniques for each situation. Her performance remained remarkably consistent, with shot groups that impressed even the most experienced range supervisors. The general noted her ability to adapt quickly to different rifles, suggesting an intuitive understanding of weapons characteristics that typically required extensive experience to develop. During a brief break between exercises, General Hayes spoke privately with Colonel Harrison about Sarah's potential assignment to specialized units. The conversation covered security clearance requirements, advanced training programs, and operational deployment considerations. Sarah's current clearance level would need enhancement for certain missions, but her demonstrated abilities and clean background investigation made approval likely. The colonel expressed surprise at discovering such exceptional talent within his unit, and questioned how it had remained unrecognized through normal evaluation processes. The most challenging test involved engaging multiple targets at different distances within strict time constraints, simulating combat conditions where snipers must make rapid decisions while maintaining precision. Sarah studied the course layout carefully, planning her sequence of engagements and identifying optimal firing positions for each target. Her approach revealed tactical thinking that complemented her marksmanship skills, suggesting potential for roles requiring both precision shooting and strategic planning capabilities. As Sarah engaged the timed course, her performance created an atmosphere of intense focus among observers. She moved between positions smoothly, acquiring targets quickly and delivering accurate shots despite time pressure. Her breathing remained controlled, her movements deliberate, and her shot placement consistently precise. The combination of speed and accuracy under pressure demonstrated qualities that separated exceptional snipers from merely competent marksmen, qualities that couldn't be taught but could be refined through proper training and experience. General Hayes found himself comparing Sarah's performance to elite snipers he had worked with throughout his career. Her natural abilities rivaled those of soldiers with years of specialized training and combat experience. More importantly, her demeanor suggested the psychological stability and emotional control necessary for sniper operations, where split-second decisions could have strategic implications. The general began considering specific missions where Sarah's unique combination of skills could provide decisive advantages. The final challenge involved shooting in deteriorating light conditions, testing Sarah's ability to adapt to changing visibility and atmospheric conditions. As shadows lengthened across the range, she demonstrated impressive skill at reading subtle environmental changes and adjusting her technique accordingly. Her shots remained accurate even as conditions became more challenging, showing adaptability that would prove crucial in operational environments where shooters couldn't control timing or circumstances. As the evaluation concluded, General Hayes gathered the complete results and witness statements from range personnel. Sarah's performance had exceeded expectations across every measurement criterion, establishing her as an exceptionally gifted marksman with potential for highly specialized roles. The documentation would support recommendations for immediate advancement to sniper training programs and eventual assignment to units requiring the highest levels of precision shooting capability. Sarah secured her equipment and prepared to return to normal duties, unsure about the significance of the day's events. She had approached each challenge as seriously as any training exercise, applying her best efforts without fully understanding the implications of her performance. The general's intense interest and detailed questioning suggested something beyond routine evaluation, but her experience with military protocols taught her to wait for official notification rather than speculate about potential outcomes. General Hayes made his decision as he watched Sarah's professional handling of post-exercise procedures. Her combination of exceptional skill, appropriate attitude, and military discipline created an opportunity to address critical operational needs while advancing the career of a truly gifted soldier. The paperwork initiating her transfer to specialized training would begin immediately, though he wanted to personally deliver the news and explain the significance of her demonstrated abilities. Sarah's military career was about to change dramatically, though she didn't yet realize the magnitude of what lay ahead. 3 months later, Sarah stood in formation at the elite sniper training facility, wearing the distinctive uniform that marked her as a candidate for one of the military's most challenging programs. The intervening weeks had passed in a blur of paperwork, interviews, medical examinations, and psychological evaluations. Her security clearance had been expedited through channels she didn't fully understand, and her orders had arrived with unusual speed considering the military's typically bureaucratic pace. The general's recommendation had clearly carried significant weight throughout the approval process. The sniper school's reputation preceded it, a grueling program where more than half of candidates failed to complete training. Sarah found herself among 32 carefully selected soldiers, each representing exceptional marksmanship ability within their respective units. The diversity of backgrounds surprised her, with candidates drawn from infantry, military police, special forces, and even some civilian law enforcement agencies. Despite their varied origins, all shared common characteristics: demonstrated shooting ability, psychological stability, and recommendations from senior officers. Instructor Sergeant First Class Maria Rodriguez commanded immediate respect through her presence and reputation. A veteran of multiple combat deployments, she held the distinction of being one of the military's most accomplished female snipers. Her introduction to the candidates was brief but memorable, emphasizing that natural shooting ability was merely the entry requirement for training that would test every aspect of their physical, mental, and emotional capabilities. Many soldiers who shot expertly on ranges struggled with the complex demands of operational sniping. The first weeks focused on advanced marksmanship techniques that went far beyond basic rifle skills. Sarah learned about minute of-angle calculations, atmospheric effects on bullet trajectory, and the subtle art of reading wind conditions at multiple distances simultaneously. Her background gave her advantages in some areas, but the technical aspects of long-range ballistics required careful study and practice. The precision demanded exceeded anything she had experienced, with acceptable accuracy measured in fractions of inches at distances exceeding half a mile. Physical training pushed candidates beyond normal military fitness standards, emphasizing endurance, flexibility, and the ability to maintain fine motor control under extreme stress. Sarah discovered muscles she didn't know existed as training incorporated extended periods in uncomfortable positions, carrying heavy equipment across difficult terrain, and maintaining weapon stability during physical exhaustion. Her Montana upbringing had provided good foundation fitness, but the program's demands required adaptation to new levels of physical challenge. The psychological aspects of sniper training proved equally demanding, addressing the mental discipline required. For successful operations, candidates learned meditation techniques, stress management, and methods for maintaining focus during extended surveillance periods. Sarah found these lessons fascinating, as they formalized many of the mental approaches her grandfather had taught her intuitively. The ability to remain perfectly still and alert for hours at a time became a measurable skill rather than simply a hunting technique. Tactical training introduced concepts of camouflage, concealment, and movement that transformed snipers from simple marksmen into invisible battlefield assets. Sarah learned to construct effective hiding positions using available materials, move silently across various terrain types, and observe targets without detection. These skills required patience and attention to detail that complemented her shooting abilities, creating comprehensive capabilities for independent operations behind enemy lines. As training progressed, the candidate pool gradually diminished as soldiers discovered their limits or encountered challenges they couldn't overcome. Some failed due to inadequate marksmanship under pressure, others struggled with physical demands or psychological stress. Sarah found herself among a core group of candidates who consistently met program standards, though she remained focused on personal improvement rather than comparative performance. Each eliminated candidate served as a reminder that success required constant effort and adaptation. Field exercises tested integrated skills under realistic conditions, with candidates required to navigate to objectives, establish concealed positions, conduct surveillance, and engage targets while avoiding detection by opposing forces. These scenarios revealed the complexity of sniper operations beyond simple shooting, requiring tactical thinking, problem-solving, and decision-making under pressure. Sarah's hunting experience proved valuable in reading terrain and understanding animal behavior that often revealed human movement patterns. Near the program's completion, Sarah participated in a final evaluation that would determine her suitability for operational assignment. The exercise combined all training elements into a comprehensive test lasting several days, where candidates operated independently while being evaluated by instructors using advanced surveillance equipment. Success required demonstration of technical skills, tactical judgment, and psychological resilience under conditions closely approximating combat operations. The pressure was intense, knowing that failure at this stage would result in return to previous assignments without specialized training credentials. The graduation ceremony took place on a crisp autumn morning, with families, instructors, and senior military officials gathered to honor the 8 candidates who had successfully completed the demanding program. Sarah's parents had traveled from Montana, their faces showing mixture of pride and amazement at their daughter's transformation from small-town girl to elite military specialist. Her grandfather, now in his 70s, sat in the front row wearing his old military dress uniform, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks as he watched his protege receive recognition for skills he had helped nurture decades earlier. General Hayes had specifically requested to attend the ceremony and present awards to graduating candidates. His presence added significance to the occasion, as his recommendation had initiated Sarah's journey through the specialized training program. As he prepared his remarks, he reflected on the exceptional circumstances that had brought Sarah to this moment. A chance encounter during routine evaluation that had revealed extraordinary potential hidden within the ranks of ordinary soldiers. Sarah stood at attention with her fellow graduates wearing the distinctive insignia that marked her as a qualified military sniper. The small metal badge represented months of intensive training, countless hours of practice, and mastery of skills that few people ever attempted to develop. More importantly, it signified her readiness for operational assignments where precision and judgment could determine mission success or failure. The weight of responsibility associated with the designation was not lost on any of the graduates. The ceremony proceeded with formal presentations of certificates and awards, each graduate stepping forward to receive recognition for their achievement. When Sarah's name was called, she approached the podium with measured steps, maintaining military bearing while internally marveling at the path that had led to this moment. General Hayes smiled as he prepared to present her credentials, remembering the quiet corporal who had impressed him with unexpected shooting ability during what should have been routine training. As General Hayes handed Sarah her sniper badge, something remarkable happened. The composed, experienced general who had commanded troops in combat zones around the world found himself speechless. Sarah's transformation from overlooked soldier to elite specialist represented everything he valued about military service: hidden potential revealed through opportunity, dedication rewarded with achievement, and individual excellence contributing to collective capability. The moment embodied the military's ability to discover and develop talent that might otherwise remain unrecognized. Sarah accepted the badge with appropriate military courtesy, but noticed the general's unusual reaction. His momentary silence seemed inconsistent with his reputation for commanding presence and articulate leadership. She wondered if she had somehow violated protocol or failed to meet expected standards, though her instructors had indicated successful completion of all program requirements. The general's expression suggested emotions beyond simple professional satisfaction with another successful graduate. General Hayes recovered his composure and delivered brief remarks about Sarah's exceptional performance throughout training. He mentioned her natural abilities, dedicated effort, and potential for significant contributions to military operations. However, his words carried personal meaning that went beyond standard graduation comments. Sarah represented proof that the military's greatest assets often emerged from unexpected sources, requiring leaders who could recognize potential and provide appropriate opportunities for development. The ceremony concluded with traditional military formalities, but General Hayes requested a private moment with Sarah afterward. Away from the ice-edged crowd of families and officials, he spoke candidly about the day she had first demonstrated her marksmanship abilities, and how that performance had convinced him to recommend her for specialized training. He explained that her success validated his belief in identifying and nurturing exceptional talent, regardless of its initial obscurity within military ranks. Sarah expressed gratitude for the general's support and interest in her development, acknowledging that without his intervention, she would likely have remained in conventional assignments throughout her military career. The conversation revealed the general's genuine investment in individual soldier development and his understanding that organizational success depended on maximizing human potential. His momentary silence during the award presentation had reflected his personal satisfaction with her achievement and vindication of his judgment. As Sarah rejoined her family for post-ceremony celebrations, she carried with her not only the badge representing her new qualifications, but also understanding of how individual potential could be recognized and developed through proper leadership. Her grandfather's early training had provided foundation skills, but General Hayes's recognition and recommendation had created opportunities for growth that exceeded anything she had imagined possible. The combination of natural ability, dedicated training, and supportive leadership had transformed her from ordinary soldier into elite specialist. The general watched Sarah with her family, satisfied that his decision months earlier had produced outcomes beneficial for both individual soldier and military organization. Her success story would be repeated countless times throughout his career, as other overlooked personnel received opportunities to demonstrate hidden capabilities. However, the moment of silence when he had presented her badge would remain memorable. Recognition that sometimes the military's greatest victories came not from grand strategies or advanced equipment, but from discovering exceptional individuals and providing them with chances to excel.